Y'all,
All
welcome
right,
back to
cool.
Pre-PT Chat Live. Welcome back. Welcome back. We have a great topic that I'm sure a lot of you want to hear about, but before so, we want to share this out just to make sure that everyone that wants to see it has the ability to do so. But Casey, how's everything been on your end, man?
Oh yeah, it's been great. You guys can see the sun. It's a little chilly today, but like, come on, it's sunny outside. Finished all the notes before I left today. So all is well. How's everything over there is the question.
Yeah, everything's amazing out here. You talk about like life or the clinic, because
Everything.
clinic has been amazing. Well, some of y'all that are friends with me on Facebook may have seen that I got engaged last night. So your boy is hype about that. But man, everything's just been good. Been on cloud nine today, really. So I'm still trying to come down from the clouds, but I don't want to. So
Good stuff.
life is good, man. Life is good. And then just back to the grind, serving the pre-PT. So that's what we're gonna do tonight. And I hope y'all are ready for it. Just because I think this is a topic that a lot of people just it's really on their mind. So we want to make sure that we take care of you guys and allow you guys to understand how you can navigate this very conversation that for a lot of people really holds them back from not only pursuing physical therapy but also choosing which programs are best for them. Am I fair in saying that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a hot topic that comes up pretty frequently, whether it's, every couple weeks, every couple months. Then there's like a huge thread in the comments and everybody wants to put their 2 cents in. So it's a valid reason to be, cautious and concerned and all that, but let's get into it. Let's get into it. I'm all ready.
Let's do it. Honestly, guys, so let's start from the top. There's a lot of pre-PT students that you're all in different places as pre-PTs. And for those of you that are not pre-PTs anymore and are in physical therapy school or what's up, Nate? How you doing, brother? Like for those of y'all that are in PT school or are physical therapists, at some point you had this battle. Now, obviously, the further we go with the career of physical therapy, obviously, as it's transitioned into a doctorate program, it's become a much bigger financial investment. That is the reality of it, which means that physical therapy school is getting more expensive, or has gotten more expensive as it's moved from a bachelor's to a master's to a doctorate level degree. So the question is like, how am I going to pay for this thing? Like, how am I going to pay for physical therapy school? How am I going to figure my way out? Because a lot of times, we don't have a lot of money as pre-PTs to really just drop, and you have programs that are, anywhere from 60 grand that, total, obviously over the years of you being in that program plus, right? So you got over six figures. And then when you add that in with your other schooling, especially for those of y'all that go straight from undergrad to PT school, you can tally that up, especially if you went to a more expensive, university or school for your bachelor's degree. And it gets pretty pricey. So the question remains, like, how do we fix this issue? Like, how, as a pre-PT, I've had people, I don't know about you, Casey, man, I've had people ask me like, yo, like I have schools that I want to apply to, but I actually don't want to show up. But I actually don't want to show up to a program that's gonna, cost 100 grand or more over the 3 year span. So I'm just not gonna apply there. Or, man, I really want to pursue physical therapy, but I'm gonna give it another year because I don't think I can afford it right now. And so we're going to talk about that conversation, but also the flip side of it, the real question that most of y'all should be having, and also how to navigate both. So let's get into it. So let's start with this. For those of y'all that are on here, whether you're a pre-PT, whether you are a physical therapist, whether you are a physical therapy student, like how many of you have had this question, this struggle at some point? You can say me, I, whatever you want to do to identify yourself. But at some point in your journey, you were just like, how am I going to handle this thing? How am I going to pay for this thing? Where's the money going to come from? How are the finances going to fall in place? How's it going to come together? You at some point were at this roadblock where you were just stuck. you wanted to go into it, but you realize, well, there are other ways to that might not be as big of an investment, but like you've thought about being a PTA or being an athletic trainer, something that does not require as much financial weight or demand. All right, so Bria, I see you. We see you. And so Casey and I have been in the same situation because it's natural to be in that point. It's natural to feel as though you don't know, how you're going to handle it. Because I mean, unless you're trying to do PT school 2 times, we only go through it once. So before going into it, it's likely, unless you've bought a home or what, it's likely the biggest investment that you would have made on yourself up until that point, right? Which means that it's a low, like it's not like dropping $1,000 for something, or like you are dropping some serious coin for it. And so the question is like, how do I pay for this thing? How do I figure out how to navigate through this thing? I want to be a physical therapist, but I don't want to be broke. And then obviously there's the stories that we hear that, maybe PTs aren't paid as much as they should. And, and people are paying for their, like we hear a lot of things that confuse us. So it leads us to ask this question. So Casey, let's start with this part and then we're going to show them the flip side. So how do we pay for PT school? Like if I'm a pre-PT, I'm trying to get in, like, how do I make it happen? How do I pay for it? How do I navigate this system? Because I'm trying to get in.
Yeah, so I mean, let's just start with the basics for, somebody who's just on the journey, just starting out, really has no idea. I know a lot of you guys, they know some of this, but hey, let's back up a second. Some people may be new here. So there's a few, normal ways, quote unquote, normal ways to pay for graduate school, specifically PT school. You can do scholarships, of course. You can do grants as well, basically just giving you money. Then, of course, also loans from either the government or private entities, private, loans. And there are different loans for, the private sector as well as the government. There's, your normal subsidized, unsubsidized loans that you can get through FAFSA. Then also you have your Grad Plus loans. There's also something called Parent Plus loans, I believe. Mm-hmm. Then on the private side, I'm sure there's hundreds of different, variations of private loans for grad school, PT school, just personal loans as well. So that's just the basic, big 3 that you can get for paying for PT school. Then, of course, we got the question here, how can you find scholarships? How can you find grants? Of course, that's the most common questions. Any websites? Okay, there's another one. There's an easy answer to that, and you guys know the answer. There are websites. You guys know that there's websites. You can Google search for that. Where can you find scholarships? You can type that in Google, literally. That's the easy part of it. You can find things that have options to give you money through scholarships, through grants, all that stuff. If you, search the right terms, scholarships for grad school, scholarships for physical therapy, minority scholarships, merit scholarships, scholarships for a state, for a county. You can search that. But are you going to follow through with it? Because a lot of times what happens is, we hear a video like this and we're like, yeah, I need to get on the ball with scholarships and grants. Then we go do a Google search for a day or do a, Yahoo search for a few hours. Then we kind of forget about it and we see the requirements and we're like, that's too much work. I got the PT-CAS application. I got tests coming up. I got to cook dinner. I got work to do. Then we end up not doing it at all, really. So we can find the stuff. The stuff is out there. We can give you avenues. We can give you apps. We have stuff through our programs. We have people we can reach out. We have stuff, but are you going to follow through? We don't want to give you stuff it just looks bad on us. I heard from Pre-PT Grind, I can get, then you don't follow through. So I kind of rambled on, but those are the primary ways you can pay for PT school. And I kind of dipped into a little bit about where you can find it. But what's your thoughts?
Yeah, and I completely agree. The honest truth is, like Casey said, it's really about follow through. Are there ways to navigate that easily? Yeah, of course. One of the easiest ways, and I've said this in a different live stream, is the app Scholly. If y'all have never used Scholly before, like that's a good one to hop on because it provides a lot of clarity on identifying like what scholarships would actually be appropriate, not only for you as a pre-PT or a free or physical therapy student, but you as an individual. Like it takes on all the information about you as a person and just kind of says, okay, you're this old, this, boom, 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 boom. And then it actually matches you up with a lot of different scholarships that would be perfect for you, right? But Casey's right. So you have that ability. You have, let's say you get Scholly. Scholly's amazing. I'll rock for Scholly all day. They better start paying us. But at the end of the day, like with Scholly or other platforms like it that do make it easy, is the follow through. Like you got to be able to follow through. You got to be able to figure out how to like stay on it so that you can actually like being on top of your game in regards to applying for all these different things, rather than just saying, well, like I have all these other things I got to take care of. Like that has to become the priority. I actually heard a story of someone who told their kids one summer to not, I think they were in college or whatever, to not do summer jobs and to just apply for scholarships during their summer. And what ended up happening is they were able to pay off all of their academics because of it. Because the amount of, by focusing solely for one summer, by focusing solely on their scholarships, and obviously with certain scholarships, you have to like renew it every single year and all that. By focusing all their efforts on like those scholarships, they actually saved themselves a lot of like time and money. You know what I mean? Like, so now even, there's other ways like side hustles and all that. Like, aside from that, they were actually able to focus on their academics without having this fear behind them, without having this concern, without having this frustration. So are the platforms there? You better doggone believe it. You better doggone believe it, guys. Getting the finances to actually pay off PT school is really dependent on how hard you're willing to work on the front end to gain access to those finances, right? So if you're going to wait until you're applying for the loans and that's it, that will limit you. That will give you so much. And so scholarships become one way, obviously, side hustles, having side jobs, or, just working somewhere over the weekend, depending on what kind of a program you're in. Some programs are flex programs, so you're able to work while also being a student, right? So understand all those different things. Also understand your family situation before you figure out which schools you want to apply to, because that school has to match up with what you're looking for. But what Casey and I also understand is the sense that at the end of the day, we could tell you for a long time really how to pay off school. And like Casey said, it's about the initiation. It's about putting in the amount of effort, the amount of work necessary to actually make sure those things happen. If you want scholarships, go out and get them. Scholly, we just showed you like one easy way to do that. But at the end of the day, it's the fear of being able to pay it back, right? Like it's that fear of not being able to pay it back that actually gets most of us. Am I right, Casey?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the fear of like, okay, so I'll pay through PT school and I'll get all these loans and stuff like that. But man, like, how am I going to pay it back as well? It's a two-sided coin. It's a two-sided coin where on the one side, it's like getting into like PT school, there's a concern about how much you'll be able to attain or obtain to be able to pay off your academics. But on the other hand, it's like, how will I actually gain it back at the end, right? I hear that, you can do it over years and years of like having your degree or whatever. And obviously the higher paying job you have, I guess it does make it easier, but we've all heard positives and negatives on both sides. So what's a way to kind of clear our minds of a lot of what we've heard to really simplify it so that we can understand not only how to, we've talked about how to get the finances to get in a little bit. And guys, ask more questions if you want to hear more. But now on the flip side, Casey, how do we navigate that? How can we have the assurance that on the other end, we can, be able to, pay off our loans and all those different things? Like how do we balance these two pieces of the puzzle?
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, you have to really know what's out there in physical therapy, first of all, because if you don't know, you're just like, oh, I'll get a hospital job or a, outpatient job. And that's all you know. You're kind of limiting yourself financially just from now. However, just backing up a second, like in reality, it's kind of easy to pay for PT school. How will you pay for PT school? It's kind of easy. Like, of course, there's nuances and different situations. I get it, but the government can pay for it, right? The government can take care of that. They can pay for PT school. Like you said, Joseph, the problem is how will you pay it back? And if you don't know what's possible out there, if you're not establishing relationships with private practice owners from now, if you want to go that way, if you're not researching travel physical therapy, home health, different side hustles, different ways to make money, like non-clinically, different side hustles you can do after you graduate in school. There's like so many ways out there to make a great amount of money in physical therapy. Whoever's telling you like, oh, don't go into physical therapy for the money. Like, come on now, you can make plenty of money in physical therapy. We both know millionaire PTs in the field. However, on the other hand, we both know PTs who are struggling as well. So how are you going to pay it back and how are you going to secure yourself financially? You have to start thinking differently about physical therapy from now, right? You have to have a different, that's why we talk about mindset from now on. Like from now, it's not just because we're out here talking about, fluffy stuff. This goes for everything. Clinically, patients, financially, everything. You got to start thinking about it differently. Yeah. How are you going to align yourself with the right people, with the right companies, with the right opportunities, with the right internships, with the right skills to make more money, like just not using your time, whatever it is. Like we can talk more about that. And we've talked about that with our pre-PT success students. They have the mindset now. They know what they need to do. We have a company in place to help them along the way as well. So they're good. They're set. Yes, it might be scary to take on that many loans, but if you have the right mindset of how to have a plan to pay it back, or you don't necessarily have to have, a plan, step by step right now, but to have an idea of what to do, have an idea of who to reach out to, have an idea of how to navigate everything. So you're not stressed and anxious about every little thing and it won't impact your grades, your life, your relationships, your patients, your clinical internships. All of that stuff can be handled if you're thinking about it the right way. So it's easy to pay for PT school. It's harder to pay it back if you don't have the right mindset and the right, you don't know what's really possible with PT. So that's my little take on it. If you're good with that, then you're good from now on. What are your thoughts about it?
100% agree. And I know this statement's going to sound like, oh, we have to like own our own clinic. And I'm not like, I actually had a conversation with a friend of mine right before this. And he said something on the phone. He said, honestly, in this profession right now, it's to get to that point where you don't have to have that frustration. It's almost like we as physical therapists, we as pre-PTs, physical therapy students, we have to change our mindset into an entrepreneurial, perspective. Does that mean you have to own a clinic or whatever? No. But what it means is kind of like the lad that we were talking about with Carl. You have to be very focused on what your desire is, what your intention is, what you want. And when you understand that, whether you want to have a larger impact, whether you want to be able to pay off your loans, whether you want, like whatever it is, just understand this one thing. The more people that you are able to help, the more you'll actually be able to bring in, right? When we focus on just the finances, it actually ends up leading us in different directions. But if the one goal is to help as many people as possible, then what ends up happening is in return, it really flips to help you on the financial end. And you have to do that as like with an entrepreneurial mindset to be like to have an online presence, even for those of y'all that are like bloggers already documenting. It might not be paying now, but the people that you're able to impact actually gives you an ability, whether it's through, I mean, we can get all through the technicalities. It doesn't really matter, but your ability to help more people actually allows you to set yourself up to, really, do well financially. And I know that's abstract for a lot of you, but I want you guys to understand that right now there's really a lot that has not been tapped in our profession. And I think this is key for you guys to hear early on. There's a lot that has not been tapped. It's been tapped by other professions, and that's why they're winning at such a high level. Why do you guys think that, a lot of physicians are the ones sending us their patients and we're at their mercy? It's because they've it's not just because they're a doctor. They've bought into an entrepreneur mindset in the sense that, like, if they want to win, they got to go get theirs in terms of their patients. That's why they have so big of a say. Like, you'll hear physical therapists complaining, oh, like, this doctor only sends them for, like, the doctor can actually pretty much, like, the patients trust them because that doctor actually sought them out, right? And so because of that, we have to be entrepreneurs. We have to have the mindset of, like, ourselves as pre-PTs, physical therapy students, physical therapists, like, wanting and being able to impact not only our communities, but even right now we're doing stuff with pre-PT ground. We got people on here from California. We got people from New York. We got people from overseas. We got folk from Canada, Florida, Texas, like, all over the place. And we're not stopping. Like, pre-PT grind ain't going anywhere. So if y'all are expecting it to kind of slow down, we ain't stopping. We might actually just, accelerate it, because our mission is to help as many pre-PTs as possible. So if you're coming to the field of physical therapy with that approach, with that way of thinking, or at least welcoming that way of thinking, it actually does change up your mindset. Kind of like Carl and I talked about, the steps to getting there becomes the gray area where most people get lost. Carl and I were saying that, like, when you focus on the gray area, and this pertains to y'all applying right now, when you look at the gray area, that's what discourages all of us. It's like, yo, man, this is too hard. This is too difficult. This doesn't really make sense or whatever. But when you're focused on your end goal, when you want to impact a lot of people, and I hope y'all are coming into PT because y'all actually love, like, y'all actually love to bless and impact a lot of people. And if that's the goal, then everything else will fall in place. Right now, getting into PT school, there are technicalities that, not technicalities, there are ways to accelerate your ability to not be in a lot of debt. There are ways to pay off, your tuition, like Casey says. Yes, Damien, 100% paying off your interest while you're in school. There are a lot of ways to do that. And that's being financially savvy. That's being financially savvy. But don't let it slow you down from pursuing your dream. Don't let it slow you down from applying to programs that might actually be an amazing match for you. Don't let it slow you down from actually doing PT altogether. Don't let it get you in the mindset of thinking, man, I actually have to do something else first so I can have enough coin to actually become a physical therapist. Like, I have to become a PTA first so I can have enough money so I can actually become a physical therapist. Don't be limited by that. Don't be limited by that, because if your end goal is to be a physical therapist, then doggone it, go be a physical therapist. Does that make sense? Like, make that your end goal. Let everything else, like, we can talk all day. I'm telling y'all, like, we can list you guys all day per specific situation, what you can do to actually not only save yourself money, but also be able to pay off your schooling. Because we've done it. Like, I got through, Casey about to finish in a few months, like, because it's very possible. And there's a lot of financial savviness that's there that's actually not that complicated to explain. It really isn't. Like, we could sit here and just talk about it. It's not that complicated to explain. But at the end of the day, don't let it hold you back. And I think that's the message that a lot of you guys have to hear, right? Y'all that have already gotten into PT school and you're like, okay, now how do I figure it out? I hope that gave you a sense of relief. It's going to figure itself out, but you got to be ready to grind. If you got to get scholarships, you got to be ready to go look for them. You got to get your Scholly app. You got to start, grinding away, right? If it's a side hustle, then on the weekends, it's not going to be pick up soccer with your boys. It's going to be working. Does that make sense? And so what you want, you go and get. What are you willing to put into it? It's easy to pay for PT school, not because the process is easy, but because it's actually easy to lay it out if you're willing to do what it takes. So if what you want is to get into physical therapy school, if what you want is to be a physical therapist, if what you want is to impact a lot of people, then you have nothing to worry about. Is there going to be a lot of gray along the way? Yes. Is there going to be some frustrations along the way? Yes. Are there going to be some challenges along the way? Yes. But if y'all are wanting to take the route, of least resistance,
Ooh.
then maybe PT is not for you.
Uh-oh.
Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Because I'm telling you, I'm quoting a friend right now that was just talking to me. If y'all want to take the route of least resistance, then PT might not be for you. Yo, completely agree, Gabby. But if you guys want to take yourselves to another level as pre-PTs, if y'all want to take yourselves to another level as physical therapy students, if y'all want to take yourselves to another level as future clinicians in this profession, be okay with taking the route of resistance. Be okay with going through that process of being like, okay, I know what I want. I know what I got to do. I know I got to get into a program. That program, looks like a perfect fit, but it's going to cost me like 120 grand. Shoot, maybe I don't want to do that. Go for it. Go for it. If you're trying to figure out how to actually like go for that, if it's the match for you, go for it. We could talk technicalities. Like we said, if you're ready to grind, if you really want it, then let's get it. But if you're always going to look for the route of least resistance because, I can predict that, or I can predict this, then what's going to happen is your profession and your career won't actually be able to give you what you want out of it because you'll never be able to go and get yours. Does that make sense? And so all of it is very much connected. All of it is very much connected. How can we get money to pay for PT school? We just listed it. How can we actually pay, the money back? We just talked about it. Are you willing to take the route that guarantees some resistance, but you know that on the other end, the very thing you've been aiming for is waiting for you? Does that make sense? So that's all we got to say tonight, y'all.
That's it.
All right. Well, if you guys have any questions, you guys know how to reach out to us. Contact us at contactpreptgrind.com. Let us know what your thoughts are, guys. But we it's our hope. It's our hope that out of all you guys will be the transition of our profession. Not that our profession is bad, but because we need a generation that's ready to just like push everything that physical therapy can be into and create it, like put it into existence, because you guys are willing to push. You guys are willing to pursue what you want to the point of having to go through that resistance. Does that make sense? The route, man, we were talking about now. I'll end with this. We were talking about Carl, actually. We were talking yesterday. It was him, myself, and Greg, and we were talking about why a few people are much more successful, why a few people are able to set themselves up, why a few people are able to be at a point where everyone else is like, yo, how do they get to that point in their career? And I recalled back, because I'm from Michigan originally, y'all. Well, Kenya, then Michigan. So we used to do a lot of hiking in the woods in the area that I grew up in. And you can tell like where the main path is because it's got like dirt and stuff like that. And so sometimes like some of my boys and I, we take like our sticks and try to like, carve our ways like into like the bushes. And half the time you didn't know if you were going to like walk into a creek because of how, there's like creek there because of how high the grass and the bushes were. You didn't know what you were going to find. Right. But whatever it was going to be something that no one else had found already. Does that make sense? That no one else was actually willing to go. Everyone else was so content with walking on the path that was already created that they weren't willing to actually create a path. So the route of least resistance actually set you apart. So you as pre-PTs, if you just train yourself to be able to take the route of the route that actually guarantees some resistance, but on the other end, you can see, ooh, that's where what I want is, then it's all good. So if you like, that's the program I want. If the resistance is the financial, whatever, go through it. We can talk about how to figure that out. Ooh, that's how I want to be as a physical therapist. If that's got some resistance, if that means you're going to grind or whatever, go through it. If it means that you're going to have to like put in some work for that scholarship, then go through it. If that means that you like, go through it. Go through it. Train yourself to not have to go through the route of least resistance, y'all, because there's not enough people like that. And we need y'all to be just that. Sounds good?
It's all about the work. It's all about the work.
Hope this was helpful. Y'all have an absolutely amazing Thursday evening. Many blessings. We'll see y'all next week on the Pre-PT Chat Live on Thursday night. Also, don't miss out on our podcast episode from this week. But like I said, contact preptgrind.com if y'all would like to talk about this and talk about how you can be able to embrace the route that guarantees some resistance, but also leads to a lot of victories. Y'all have a good one. Bye.